Bob Dylan has never been easy to pin down. For more than 6 decades, he's rewritten the rules of songwriting, confused critics, annoyed purists, and inspired generations of musicians, often all at the same time. He rarely explains himself. He avoids nostalgia. And when asked about his influences, he tends to speak in riddles. But at 84, Dylan has been more reflective than ever before. Through interviews, liner notes, radio shows, and scattered remarks over the years, a clearer picture has emerged of the rock albums that truly shaped his musical soul. Not trends, not chart toppers, but records that meant something. These are the 5 rock albums Bob Dylan has consistently praised, revisited, and quietly placed on a pedestal. Albums that helped define what rock music could become. 1. Little Richard, Here's Little Richard, 1957. At the top of Bob Dylan's list is Little Richard, and not just any record, Here's Little Richard. Dylan has said that this album didn't just influence rock music, it ignited it. The screams, the piano, the unstoppable energy. Little Richard wasn't asking permission. He was taking control. Dylan once said that Little Richard sounded like he was singing from somewhere beyond fear, and that kind of freedom left a permanent mark on him. This album taught Dylan that rock music could be dangerous, joyful, spiritual, and rebellious all at once. To Dylan, this wasn't just a great album, it was the source code. 2. The Rolling Stones, Exile on Main Saint, 1972. Bob Dylan has long admired the Rolling Stones, but Exile on Main Saint stood above the rest. He loved its messiness, its darkness, its refusal to sound clean or polite. Dylan once hinted that Exile felt like a band bleeding onto tape, not trying to impress anyone. Blues, gospel, country, and rock collided without rules, and Dylan recognized that chaos as honesty. He admired how the album sounded lived in, imperfect, and real. To Dylan, Exile on Main Saint proved that rock albums didn't need clarity. They needed truth. 3. The Beatles, Revolver, 1966. Bob Dylan respected the Beatles before Revolver. After Revolver, he took them seriously as artists. This album marked the moment when rock stopped being just entertainment and started becoming art with depth. Dylan admired how the Beatles pushed boundaries without losing accessibility. Songs like Tomorrow Never Knows and Eleanor Rigby proved that rock albums could be experimental, emotional, and cohesive. Dylan later acknowledged that Revolver forced him to evolve, to take studio craft, sound design, and structure more seriously. To him, this album represented a turning point where rock music grew up. 4. Chuck Berry, The Great 28, 1982. Bob Dylan has called Chuck Berry the true poet of rock and roll. While technically a compilation, Dylan has repeatedly treated The Great 28 as a definitive album, a complete statement of Berry's genius. What Dylan admired wasn't just the guitar riffs, it was the storytelling. Cars, girls, trouble, freedom. Chuck Berry turned everyday American life into mythology, and Dylan paid very close attention. Dylan once said that if you stripped away the humor and swagger, Berry's lyrics were as sharp and observant as any folk song ever written. This album taught Dylan that rock lyrics could be clever, visual, and fearless, without losing their bite. 5. Elvis Presley, 1956. For Bob Dylan, everything begins with Elvis. Dylan has often said that hearing Elvis for the first time felt like breaking out of jail. This debut album wasn't polished, it wasn't intellectual, but it was electric. To Dylan, Elvis didn't just sing songs, he changed the atmosphere. The mix of country, blues, and raw sexuality shattered the polite world of pop music. Dylan has said that before Elvis, music stayed inside its lines. After Elvis, nothing stayed in place. This album taught Dylan that attitude mattered as much as lyrics, and that a voice didn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Without this record, Dylan believed rock music might never have found its courage. So when Bob Dylan speaks about rock albums, he isn't ranking records. He's tracing a line of rebellion from Elvis to Little Richard, from Chuck Berry to the Stones, and beyond. These albums didn't just influence Dylan, they helped create the world he changed. Which rock album would you put on this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more deep dives from Legends Uncovered, and keep the music loud.